Welcome to the California Nevada chat this Friday, July 18th. Happy Open Championship week. Hope you're all enjoying watching some great golf, some rainy golf this morning. My name is Nikki Gatch. I'm the Executive Director of the Southern California PGA. On behalf of our president, Dr. Allison Kurt, as well as our colleagues from the Northern California PGA section, President Nick Bailey and Executive Director Caitlin Doyle, we welcome you. Caitlin, nice to see you this morning.
Yeah. Hey, Nikki. Good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. It's great to be with you all. And I know everyone's busy mid July here. So hopefully you all are finding some time to take a little time to yourself amidst the busy season and maybe get out and play a couple holes as well. So I have to kind of constantly remind myself to do that. So look forward to seeing everyone at any upcoming NorCal PGA events. And really excited about the presenter today from the USGA. And I know we're all going to learn a lot. So looking forward to that. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we once again have some great guests lined up for you. We have our Western Regional Affairs Director from the USGA, Mike Sweeney. And then, of course, the Executive Director of the California Alliance for Golf, Craig Kessler, will give us some legislative updates at the end of the hour. Mike Sweeney. Mike, thanks so much for being with us today. Mike has been in his current role with the USGA for 12 years. Prior to that, Mike served as the Director of Rules and Competitions for the Southern California Golf Association for 8 years. He also spent some time as the Assistant Director of Rules and Competitions for the Northern California Golf Association and as a graduate of UC Davis. So safe to say, Mike has some very deep roots with California golf. Mike, we're so thrilled to have you join us. I know you've got a great presentation for us today, sharing some great updates from our friends at the USGA, and thanks again for being on.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Caitlin. Great to be on. Perfect time of year, midsummer. Like Caitlin said, everybody's all of our golfers are out playing, our members are out playing, and a lot of us are running championships and club events. And it's a perfect time for me to come in and give a kind of a mid-year update on the USGA. But Nikki had a great little intro for me, but a few additional tidbits about myself. I feel like I'm a great guest for this because I've lived in Northern California. Now I live in Southern California. I really got my start in the industry playing golf under the great tutelage of Larry Babika. If you remember that name, out of Sequoia Woods Country Club. He was a longtime pro there, great player for the NorCal PGA section and seniors. Unfortunately passed away, I think, in 2016, but he really taught me the game growing up out of Sequoia Woods Country Club in the summer times up there. And then now I've been 24 years working in the industry. So it's been great to work for the NCGA and work with a number of PGA professionals helping run NCGA events and USGA qualifiers in Northern California in the early 2000s. I'll always remember being kind of the NCGA support staff for the NorCal Open when it was being held at Diablo Grande in the early 2000s, right after Diablo Grande opened. It was a great location for that championship, and a great chance to work with the NCPGA staff in the early 2000s out there. And then moved to Southern California in 2005, where Nikki said I was Director of Rules and Competitions for SCGA, and that's where got to work with a lot of great PGA members throughout Southern California at all our great clubs down here. Got to work closely with Nikki and Tom Addis, and then also with Gerald Wong and Rob Keller, who are longtime friends of mine, who had the tournament director position with the SCPGA. So great connections to the PGA membership here, and love working with you all, and happy to share USGA updates because you are all the grassroots at the golf courses. We'd love for you to know as much about the USGA as possible and help be USGA ambassadors for us at the grassroots level as well. So I have a presentation that I'm going to go through today to provide updates, and as questions come up, feel free to ask Nikki or Caitlin to chime in, or we can ask questions at the end as well. Just want to verify you can see my screen, Nikki and Caitlin. Awesome. All right, well, USGA's commitment, we want to be courageous leaders and trusted partners to all of our industry allies, and we're fully committed to an even better future for our game. And our mission and our vision are simple. We want to champion and advance the game, and we want to see a thriving, welcoming, and sustainable game. And when Mike Wan started as our CEO 4 years ago, he probably went around the first 30 days and asked 60 different USGA staff members, hey, tell me what the USGA means to you. Give me your elevator pitch. And he probably heard 60 different versions of, we run the US Open and we govern the rules of golf. And as Mike learned, the USGA really does so much more than those two things. And internally, 4 years ago, Mike started using our acronym USGA as a way for staff to kind of talk about what we do, and utilizing the terms unify, showcase, govern, and advance. And now we've turned that acronym externally to share it with the public, and it's now our 4 strategic pillars as well. So you'll see during US Open commercials, we'll talk about unify, showcase, govern, and advance, and we'd love for PGA members at the local level to help spread the word about, hey, what's the difference between the USGA, the LPGA, the PGA of America, the PGA. Well, the USGA's 4 strategic pillars are pretty easy to remember, and really we couldn't do any of these things without the support of allied golf associations. So in our region, it's SCGA, NCGA, and Northern Nevada Golf Association. So they do everything for us to support these things at the grassroots level. So when we talk about unifying the game, the Open's going on right now. The R&A's running the Open. We work hand in hand with the R&A on the World Handicap System and governing the game. So we jointly do that around the world, and we're excited that there's one World Handicap System. So whether you're playing golf in San Francisco versus Australia versus Northern Ireland versus South America, everybody is playing under the same handicap rules, and everybody's handicap can travel and play. We're excited that we have 3.6 million golfers in the US that have a handicap index. That's definitely a high mark, and we've seen that number continue to grow over the last 4 years, with a little boost from COVID and more people coming out to play golf. But definitely the USGA is putting considerable resources and marketing dollars to try to grow the number of golfers with the handicap index. Course ratings, we lean on our Allied Golf Association to provide course ratings for every golf course. We couldn't do anything without those course ratings in place to apply the handicap index. From a showcase perspective, we're running the girls junior right now. That opening slide I had actually was the girls junior trophy. We're into the semifinals this afternoon. Unfortunately, all of our California girls got knocked out. We have a really strong contingent of California junior golfers, and a number of them made match play, but down to the final 4, it's looking like our last girls got knocked out today. But we're midway through our championship season, with the girls junior going on today and tomorrow. The semifinals and finals are actually on Peacock later today and will be re-aired on Golf Channel, and then the finals will be on Peacock tomorrow from 3 to 5, re-airing on Golf Channel tomorrow night as well. We have our USGA Golf Museum and the World Golf Hall of Fame now located in Pinehurst. Great addition to our the golf community in Pinehurst. From a governance perspective, you all are aware that we govern the game of golf with the R&A, and I'll dive more into that in a little bit. And then from an advanced perspective, I'd say this is one that under the Mike Wan leadership over the last 4 years, we're really focusing more resources, more fundraising, more staff time on really enhancing the way we support the game and the long-term health of the game. And we have 2 new initiatives, our water conservation initiative and our U.S. National Development Program that I'll dive into deeper here in a little bit. And then how does the SCGA, NCGA, Northern Nevada Golf Association, and the 54 other golf associations across the country really support the USGA? Like I said, they help deliver USGA core services. In my role as Regional Affairs Director, I oversee 12 golf associations in 10 states, and I work over the last 12 years to ensure that the consistency of delivery of World Handicap System, course ratings, rules of golf support, championship qualifiers is consistently the same and high, whether you're in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Anchorage, Mesa, Arizona, Hawaii, Montana. So that's something we've been working on over the last 12 years to really ensure that there's consistency of delivery across those aspects, especially if you're playing in a U.S. Open qualifier here in Southern California versus playing in a U.S. Open qualifier in Salt Lake City. We really want that experience to be top notch and consistent. And then we lean on golf associations to do what they do locally, which, you know, Craig is going to talk about where things are at with the California Alliance for Golf, but really SCGA is the leader in the golf association world when it comes to advocacy. We have great junior programs within Northern Nevada, Southern California, and Northern California golf associations. They run all those championships for their members. They're the local voice, and then they have, you know, specific foundations that help advance things for each association. So we really lean on our golf associations hard, and it really is a wonderful partnership that they are an extension of the USGA at the grassroots level, delivering our core services, but also doing so much more for clubs and golfers. And then, like I said, we're really promoting the benefits of the value of a handicap index. So hopefully PGA members, you guys see the value of your golfers, your members engaging with posting scores. And we're really trying to get more public golfers, more recreational golfers, more new golfers to the game that are totally hooked, interested in getting a handicap index and engaging with the USGA and the SCGA, NCGA, Northern Nevada Golf Association. So you at the grassroots level at golf courses, we'd love for you to continue to promote, hey, you know, there's value in seeing your game improve. There's value in stat tracking. We're really proud of where we are with the GIN app. I'll do a few slides here with the GIN app. GIN has, our app has free GPS, free stat tracking, score posting. So hopefully you all see value in promoting your golfers and joining your clubs at your golf courses, and they're going to be playing more and engaging more with lessons and those type of things. So here's actually a screenshot of, you know, we offer a free trial to use the GIN app. So you get, I know we have a lot of people that play golf that say, I just play for fun. I'm not good enough for a handicap index. You know, there's an intimidation factor there. Well, you can help promote that. Hey, you can try it for free. Try out the app for free. It's a 30-day trial once you post 3 scores, and you can engage with the stat tracking. You don't have access to the GPS yet, but you can see screenshots of the GPS, but you can start posting your scores, and we'll give you a 5-stroke range of what your handicap could be. So I wanted to make you all aware that there is a free trial to sign up with the GIN app, and it's out there if you get golfers that are kind of in between, you know, becoming hooked on the game, but not quite ready for, you know, fully getting a handicap index. And then we're going to be doing a lot of enhancements to the GIN app. We're going to do a full design refresh in 2025, enhancing the GPS maps, the quality of those maps, the look of those maps. We're going to do a full design refresh for what the app's going to look like. And then, you know, we got some new additions coming to the GIN app to try to get more people engaging with it, and outside of just posting scores and checking out the GPS maps. And one of those things is something we're calling challenges. So thanks to the SCGA staff, you know, they piloted last year a virtual golf league at Glen Ivy Golf Course, where people could sign up, post a number of scores, and they are part of a fun virtual competition. Well, SCGA pitched that to us and said, hey, we think we got something here, a way for people to join virtual competitions at specific golf courses. And we're now going to be embedding that into the GIN app as part of a new nationwide launch later this year called GIN Challenges. And when you think of challenges, you know, think of birdie challenges, think of your local gym where you have a 30-day challenge. You know, that's the way we're thinking of challenges. And it's going to be just fun virtual competition. The way we have it set up first is you post 3 scores at a local golf course, and you're going to have access to, as my phone rings here, hold on a second. You're going to have access to virtual competition. So we're excited to have this going on, and we actually piloted it at this March at Hagen Oaks Wente Golf Course, Black Horse Golf Course in Monterey, and Twin Oaks Golf Course, the Vista Valencia Short Course, and Los Verdes in Southern Cal. So we already piloted it early this year and saw great success. So you're going to see us roll this out later this year, hopefully in September, where you're going to be able to have virtual competitions at your clubs. So stay tuned for that. More information will be coming from the SCGA and NCGA, Northern Nevada Golf Course, to help share how you can promote this at your club and adopt this at your club to have more people engaging with scores at your courses. Moving on to Showcase. There's our US Open champion from San Dimas. Excited to have another Californian win a major, piggybacking on what DeChambeau and Schauffele did last year. Really cool to see Southern California native JJ win the US Open championship this year. So exciting to see how really his first big step in at that championship, and how awesome was that last birdie putt that he made. So exciting finish for us at the Open. And then we have 4 USGA championships coming to California in August, September, and October. So we'd love to have your help in promoting these championships. First, let's start with 24 days away from the US Amateur coming to Olympic Club. Thank you to the team at Olympic Club who's working vigorously to get things dialed in for that championship. It'll be the 4th time the Amateur's been held at Olympic Club. And, our US Amateur is our oldest USGA championship, started in 1895. And you can see the dates there. Opening round is going to be on August 11th. The final match will be on August 17th. We'd love to see a large crowd out there. The final morning match will be at 10:15 a.m. in the morning. The afternoon match will be at 3:30 p.m. So kind of a later start time, as Golf Channel is going to air it live from 4 to 7 p.m. PGA members do get in for free at the ticket office. Just show up, show them your membership information. You can get in for free with the guest. It'd be a great opportunity for PGA members to bring their staff out to see a championship, bring some of your members out to see a championship, and really watch some incredible golf at the Olympic Club. And then next up, August 21st through 24th, our 7th Senior Women's Open Championship at San Diego Country Club. We're really excited about bringing another championship back to San Diego and back to this great venue. I think most of you in Southern California know how great of a golf course this is, kind of nestled down in Chula Vista. Hosted the 1964 U.S. Women's Open, won by Mickey Wright. 1993 U.S. Women's Amateur, won by Jill McGill. Jill will actually be back in the field this year, so it's going to be really cool to have her playing in the Senior Women's Open at the same location that she won the Women's Amateur. And then some other notable events there, including some SCG events, the Pac Coast Amateur. So really excited to be back down at this location. And once again, we could use your help, promoting the information around this championship to your golfers, your members, anybody you think would be interested in attending this championship. There's our defending champion, Lita Lindley. I threw in some notable California players. I looked at the current field list, and you can see some familiar names there. With Amy Alcott's going to be playing, Julie Inkster is going to be playing, Brandy Burton's going to be playing, Lisa Newman's going to be playing, Corey Wawerski. So really some strong players from California are going to be playing in the championship. So it's going to be exciting to see them playing in an Open championship in their home state. And then we still need volunteers. We're looking for around 300 volunteers. We're slowly getting to that number. I've already reached out to a number of my our friends in the San Diego area. I reached out to Tom Sun at Arrowwood. I reached out to John McNair at JC Resorts, just trying to reach out to some of the pros in the San Diego area to really help spread the word that, hey, if you have passionate golfers that you think would be a good fit to volunteer at a national championship, we're still looking for more volunteers. I've shared the volunteer link with Nikki and Caitlin as well. So if you're interested in maybe promoting to any clubs in the San Diego area that might be interested, Nikki and Caitlin have that volunteer registration link. It'd be a great opportunity to be inside the ropes at a championship. And then that is one of the cool things about this championship is we really don't have ropes other than maybe the first tee, the 10th tee, the driving range, and the putting green, practice putting green. You can walk inside the ropes with Annika Sorenstam, Julie Inkster, Laura Davies. It's really a pretty cool experience to be able to kind of walk the fairways with them. So we do have a junior activation going on the putting green. We're going to tap into that San Diego food scene, bring out some of those local food trucks to help feed everybody. And then, we do have tickets available. We have a gallery ticket for, I think it's $30. And then we have an upgraded ticket called the Cali Cantina, which is kind of an open air pavilion for $55. And once again, PGA members get in for free. Show up at the ticket office, show your membership information. You and a guest will get in for complimentary. So another opportunity to maybe bring your staff out, watch some golf, take a day to enjoy a championship if you're in the San Diego area, or bring some members out to enjoy the championship. And I forgot to mention the U.S. Amateur, but all of our championships, U.S. Amateur and the Senior Women's Open that are ticketing, juniors 17 and under will get in for free. So we'd love to see juniors out there as well. Following up after the Senior Women's Open will be the Walker Cup, September 7th and 8th at Cypress Point. So we're excited to bring this championship back to Cypress Point. It was previously held there in 1981. I actually hunted down some photos from our archives of the 1981 Walker Cup. So here's the flag raising ceremony. If any PGA members were at that 81 Walker Cup, I would love to hear some memories you have from it, some stories. Shoot me a note because I did find a good shot here of the fans out there watching golf on the historic 16th hole there. And then you can see some of the names on that USA side with Jim Holtgreave, Bob Lewis Jr., Jody Mudd, Jay Siegel, Hal Sutton, and our California kid, Corey Pavin. So really good to see. And you can see from those scores, the USA dominated. They won 15-9. So it's going to be really cool to come back to Cypress Point for the first time. It's definitely going to be a unique championship in that, it's 10 players from both sides and a smaller footprint when it comes to the amount of fans we're going to have on site. So it's going to be a limited, fan experience, under 3,000 fans on site per day. But for those that were able to access tickets through our lottery, it's going to be a really, really special experience. So we're excited to showcase Cypress Point on TV, and really cool to see a USGA championship back at Cypress Point. And then in October, we're going to be coming back to Monterey Peninsula Country Club. We've hosted 4 championships at Monterey Peninsula Country Club, but the last one was in 1976. So it's been a while, and you all know how wonderful of a club this is. So we're really excited to bring the Women's Mid-Amateur Championship to Monterey Peninsula Country Club, October 4th through 10th. It's going to be a great venue for this golfer. That's the 25-year and older females from around the country. The winner of this championship will earn an exemption into next year's Women's Open. So not only do you get to play a world-class venue in this championship, if you win it, you get to come down to Southern California and play at the Women's Open next year. So really excited about this championship coming up and getting Monterey Peninsula Country Club back in a rotation of hosting a national championship for us. And then I teased it, 2026 is going to be a big year too. First time the Women's Open is in the Los Angeles area. It's been in Northern Cal a few times, Cordoval and Pebble Beach. It's been down at San Diego Country Club, but it's never been in the Los Angeles area. So it's going to be awesome to be able to see the LPGA's best players playing at Riviera Country Club early June next year. Jim Richardson and his team are just getting everything dialed in for us. Really excited about going to be what's going to be coming from this championship. Once again, we do need a number of volunteers to help us administer this championship. It will be a really cool experience to volunteer for this championship. I know we have a lot of volunteers already that volunteer at the local LPGA events when it comes to town. So we'd love for you to continue to get the word out. Hey, if you have passionate golfers, passionate individuals that love supporting golf, love the LPGA, we love to see them interested in volunteering for us. Once again, I gave that link to Nikki and Caitlin. They had that if you'd like to share with anybody. But we're looking to fill a lot of volunteer committees for this championship. And then once again, we'd love to have as many PGA members out there as possible to enjoy the championship, experience the championship, bring your members out. PGA members get in for free, can get a complimentary guest as well. We're going to have a really cool junior experience, a lot of activations going on. We'll be working with Jim and his team to think about how we can engage the community, how we can support the community that was, had all the damage from the wildfires, what we can do to support, those continued efforts to support those people. So we're going to continue to work with Jim on, providing a amazing spectator experience at Riviera. And once again, first time in Los Angeles for this championship is going to be special. And then back-to-back weeks in June 2026 is going to be really cool in the LA area with the Women's Open the earlier week, and then the Curtis Cup coming to Bel Air June 12th through 14th. Curtis Cup is 8 female amateurs from the USA versus the 8 females from the Great Britain and Ireland. So it's going to be the top college players, top high school players. Hopefully we get a few Californians in there. We usually do because our players are so strong. But it's going to be really cool to see the Curtis Cup held at Bel Air Country Club in 2026. And then one more coming in 2027. We'll be back at Pebble for the US Open in 2027. So exciting end of 2025. Going to be really exciting in Southern Cal in 2026, and then bringing the US Open back to Pebble again in 2027 will be really cool to see. And then I wanted to make you aware that we now have exemption events, and the exemption events really are an effort for us to provide more value to state championships and state amateurs for NCGA, SCGA, and other golf associations. This is a gentleman named Jimmy Ellis. Last year, he won the Florida State Amateur Championship, which got him into the U.S. Amateur. He used that exemption to be medalist at the U.S. Amateur. First time that someone above the age 35 has been medalist at the U.S. Amateur since 2013. So really cool to see. So I just want to kind of make you all aware that, hey, we have these. If you win these championships, you get a special golden ticket to advance to the U.S. Amateur. So Jacob Good's already in the U.S. Amateur, going to be playing at Olympic Club. These upcoming championships are going to be exempt into the 2025 U.S. Amateur. The NCGA Amateur is in August, so they're going to be exempt in the 2026 U.S. Amateur. Same with the women's events. The NCGA Women's Amateur Champion, Sarah Lim, she'll be playing at Bandon Dunes. And then the upcoming California Amateur Champion will be playing at Bandon Dunes as well. So we're excited to have these special exemptions. And we even have one for the NorCal Senior Open. Caitlin, I don't know if I don't even know if we've done a good job of telling you this. We hope the NCGA told you this, but the winner of the Senior NorCal Open is getting an exemption into the final stage of qualifying for next year's U.S. Senior Open. So on the right there is the trophy that Patty Harrington just won last month. But we're looking at opens, senior opens across the country as a pathway to skip the first round of qualifying. So a little extra nugget there for the winner of the NorCal Senior Open later this year. They can go right into the final stage of qualifying. So we're really looking for more opportunities to provide pathways to our championships through state events that are connected to golf associations, and in this case, the Senior NorCal Open connected to you guys. And then lastly, this font is small intentionally to show all the sites across California and Northern Nevada that support USGA qualifying. We cannot thank you enough. 71 different qualifiers across Northern Cal, Southern Cal, and Northern Nevada. So thank you so much for stepping up and continue to host a qualifier on a year-in, year-out basis. 94% of people that try to qualify for a national championship, they don't make it. Their national championship experience is at your qualifier, at your club. So the experience they have at that club is part of their national championship experience. So thank you so much. Special shout out to Ross Fisher and the crew at Goose Creek. They've hosted a qualifier for every single USGA championship now, which is kind of cool to have that feather in their cap. Moving on from showcase, quick topic, governance, rules. Here's some rules of golf stats from last year. I did want to promote, hey, we got some great rules videos that we're putting on social media. Repurpose that for your own club's social media, repurpose that for your club's newsletters, your club emails, your club videos. We have a great free online course called Rules 101. Please share our rules information with your members at your private clubs. And I know a lot of you are kind of the person people go to at the club level to answer rules questions. Thank you for that support. I think it's important to remember, especially with the Open going on, when someone comes up to you and says, hey, man, the USGA should change that rule. Why do I have to hit out of a divot in the fairway? It's important to say, it's not just the USGA. It's a global game. The USGA governs it with the R&A. So if we change a rule here in the States, it would have to change around the world as well. So I think it's important to have that perspective when you're talking to golfers complaining about something is, hey, this is bigger than our club, our country. Golf's a global game, man. And the R&A has a say in it as well. So one thing I did want to kind of share is our next rules revision won't be until 2028. So we typically do it every 4 years. We're extending it 5 years, and really 2028 is going to be the year where we match up with updated the rules of golf, with updating the equipment standards rules and updating the World Handicap System rules. So we're really extending rules of golf for one more year to 2028 to get everything dialed in and connected to those other rules as well. And thank you to the PGA for your continued support of teaching rules of golf workshops with us. The rules of golf workshop schedule for next year is going to be coming out in mid-August. And then lastly, I wanted to touch on our kind of the two major new initiatives we have under the advanced bucket, and that's our water conservation initiative. We released a water conservation playbook earlier this year, so I wanted to make you all aware of this. This is our comprehensive resource for golf courses, and your superintendent hopefully has this. It's virtual. It's something you can download. We can get you a hard copy if you want one, but it's a virtual piece of documentation, pretty extensive there, but we think it's a valuable asset to your golf course, to your greens committee, to your superintendent and his crew, touching on all the different ways we can continue to potentially conserve on water use and be the most efficient users of water. So I wanted to make you all aware that we have this playbook. If you're involved with management at your golf course and involved with your greens committee, please take a look at it. I shared the link with Nikki and Caitlin as well. They can share that with you all. We definitely don't want this, sitting on a shelf, not being used. We think every single golf course can benefit from some aspect of this water playbook. I did want to promote, USGA does have an internship program. I know PGA is doing a great job with PGA Works and you helping individuals get into the game of golf. The USGA also has an internship program. So anybody that comes to you at your golf course and says, hey, I'm interested in working in golf, please share with them that the USGA has an internship opportunity across the country with every single golf association. So these usually open up in the winter time. So November through February timeframe is when, there's hundreds of internships across the country available on the USGA website to access. So wanted to make you all aware that, if someone's interested in getting the foot in the door of the golf industry, this is a great avenue.
Were you an intern, boat-ride intern?
I was an intern, 2001 with the
Awesome.
NorCal Golf Association. So that's how I got my start. So definitely got me interested in the game and kind of really helped define my career path at that time. And then lastly, I wanted to touch on the other new initiative we have within the advanced bucket, and that's what we call USNDP. It's 2 years old now, our U.S. National Development Program. And I wanted to show this slide because there's two familiar faces there to many of you, Zambri and Tiff Joe as our head coach and our assistant coach coming from working for, colleges in Southern California in the last few years. They both have moved to Pinehurst and are now leading this team with Beth Brown, who came to us from the LPGA in the first tee. But this is really our program that Mike Wan saw a need for when he came on. Lydia Ko came out of Team New Zealand. Brooke Henderson came out of Team Canada. Maya Stark, who just won the Women's Open, she came out of Team Sweden along with Ludvig Bears. Great talent coming out of these teams from these countries that put money towards helping their juniors in their journey to becoming great college players, great amateur players. So we've started this program to really provide a pathway to help guide the top juniors in the States, in the country, to be part of a national program. So we're really excited about this. Wanted to make you all aware that this program is 2 years old and still growing. And we really have 4 buckets. We have tournament exemptions that we provide, and we've provided over 200 exemptions into AJGA events. We have a grant program that we've given over 109 grants to over the last 2 years, and our grant program just opened up that I'm going to promote to you here in a second. We have 104 members of different state teams, including Team California going on right now. And we have 31 members of a national team. So those are really the 4 buckets of our program right now. And you can see this pyramid is something we're working towards over the next 5 or 10 years of having a young pro team, which we don't have yet, a national amateur team, which we don't have yet, a national junior team, which we do have, and then building out state teams right now. And you can see our curriculum is really based on the Thrive acronym there at the bottom of training, health, relationships, individual development, value, equipment. So this is what we're working towards. And really, we've been working closely with Nikki. Junko Harkins has been a lead on this. Kevin Smith from the SCPGA, who really helped us define this Team Southern Cal over the last 2 years. There's our team right there with our captain, Mo Martin. They had their first camp earlier this year at Rolling Hills Country Club. Thank you to Derek and Blair at the Rolling Hills team there for stepping up and hosting our first camp. So really, Team Southern California was our pilot to a part of 7 states to help us pilot this program and show us how it could work. And now Northern California is coming on. Caitlin, thanks to Sean McEntee, who's going to be a part of that committee to help us shape what that Northern California team looks like and how they come on and forms Team California. So we're slowly building out these teams with our AGA partners and the PGA sections across the country. And you can see in 2026, we're going to be bringing on Arizona and Washington on the West Coast. Idaho just came on this year. So when you talk to your PGA friends in those states, they're going to be, the sections are going to be helping us bring those on as well. So really excited to build a state team program for these individuals to have a pathway to play in events locally and then get exemptions from the USGA for AJGA events. And then we saw it already this year, at the Girls Junior yesterday, we had Mia Clausen from Team Southern California beat a member of Team Hawaii in the round of 32. So it's really cool to see a number of the state team participants and our national team members doing really well at the Girls Junior Championship. And then lastly, we have a grant program. So if you teach juniors at your course that are 13 to 18 years old that need financial assistance, we have this grant program that's now open. So I've shared the grant link with Nikki and Caitlin, and they can share that with you. Reach out to them. So we have a grant up to $15,000 available for juniors that are really good tournament players that have financial need to help them with travel costs, coaching costs, equipment costs, tournament costs. So please promote this to juniors in your region. You can see that we're having an impact, 72 grant recipients in 2024, 109 in 2025. We're going to try to do even more in 2026. And they're doing really well in the events that they're playing in. And we do have 2 webinars for parents to find out more information about, the grant process. And one is August 19th and one is September 23rd. So please reach out to Nikki or Caitlin if you'd like that information. And then lastly, I'll close. There's my contact information. I'd love to continue to help the relationship between the USGA and the PGA sections continue to enhance. There's a picture of our new World Golf Hall of Fame and the new USGA experience on the right, and our new office, our second office in Pinehurst, right outside number 2. So anybody that's going to Pinehurst with a members trip or a golf trip, please reach out to me. I'll give you access to go see the World Golf Hall of Fame and the USGA experience with your members. It'd be really cool.
It's awesome, Mike. Thanks for a great and very thorough update. So exciting to see so many great championships come to the state of California. Really, really exciting. We look forward to attending as many as we can. One question for you, and you couldn't come on here and escape it. If you could just give a quick overview on where we are with the golf ball rollback, remind everyone on projected timeline, I can't remember if you opened back up the comment period or just kind of where we stand, if you could, please.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we made the announcement December 2023 with the R&A, and that we're going to be changing the testing on the golf ball starting in 2028 for elite competitions, and then 2030 for recreational golfers. So I know our leadership continues to have conversations with all the stakeholders, including your leadership, on where we're at with that. But we're in implementation phase with the R&A and equipment manufacturers, where we're working towards having golf balls in place in 2027 to be in effect in 2028 for the elite competitions. And then for recreational golfers, you have until 2030 until you really need to use the new golf balls that are under effect. And our goal has always been to minimize the effect on the recreational golfer. So we're going to continue to hopefully do that, to minimize the effect on the recreational golfer, but have some effect on the elite player with the elite swing speed. So I know
can you identify elite?
Elite would be, playing in
professional tours
and, elite amateur competitions like our US amateur. And I did watch the press conference with the R&A, the new R&A CEO, Mark Darvin, and he was asked that question, and he did reiterate, hey, we're in implementation phase. We believe it's the right thing to do for the game of golf. We're still, collaboratively having meetings with the industry leaders, but we're moving forward with the plans for 2028 for elite competitions and 2030 for recreational, or the rest of the game for the new form of testing.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, well, again, thank you so much for the presentation. We'll be communicating with our memberships on the volunteer opportunities, hopefully help you out there a bit, and certainly send out the grant applications, not only to our professionals, but certainly our junior tour as well. So
Wonderful.
Thank you for providing all of those links, and we appreciate you being on. We hope you'll stay on for the thrilling legislative update that we have. Mr. Kessler, you are up, sir.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Caitlin. Mike was probably not aware, as he was listing those prominent competitors at San Diego Country Club for the women's senior amateur, that one of them was listening to this broadcast, Pat Hurst. And Caitlin's nodding her head up and down, so is Nikki. So, and then I'm going to be nice to Mike. I'm actually, San Diego Country Club is where I met Mike, obviously 23 years ago. So he was in his second year in the golf industry. But Mike, relax. I'm not going to explain why that particular day is emblazoned in my memory, but another time, maybe in Nikki and Caitlin privately. But that's played a role, obviously, in our longtime relationship. So very quickly, I'm going to go through a legislative update. Our legislature is now on summer recess, and they won't return until August 18th, at which time it'll be sort of a sprint to about September 7th when the whole legislative session closes. So those bills that made it out of the Assembly over to the Senate successfully, and those bills that made it out of the Senate to the Assembly, are in their final crunch time. For us, the one bill that most concerned us, in other words, the bill that we aimed to kill, we killed in its house of origin a long time ago. And that was the bill that would have put California on permanent standard time. And by the way, for those of you who tracked it and listened to, well, in retrospect, all the bluff and bluster that came out of the proponents of that, who said that they had the momentum, particularly in the Pacific time zone. I'm happy to report that it failed in Oregon, it failed in Washington, it failed in Nevada. And really nationally, the only thing that happened in regards to standard time or daylight time was 2 more states were added to what California did in 2018, which was to go on record as preferring permanent daylight time as a way of ditching the switch at whatever time Congress authorizes it. And those 2 states are Maine and Texas. And Texas is rather substantial, being the second largest state in the union. Beyond that, what's left in the other houses, the houses of non-origin, are things that we supported, particularly Senate Bill 72, which creates water targets for the first, supply targets for the first time in California history, and adds 9 million acre feet as a goal by 2050. And that's not 9 million acre feet, really not to add to the current supply, but to replace a supply that climate change is fast eliminating from us. So we're really simply staying in place. We anticipate that the governor will sign that piece of legislation this year. Certainly the California Alliance for Golf will do again this year what it did last year, was support that legislation through to the end and send a letter to the governor encouraging them to sign it this year. What I'd like to move on to in the rest of today's presentation, which is much less of a legislative presentation than a public policy presentation, is a few notes about what came out of what was called the Community Golf Summit a week ago, Tuesday in Lakewood, which for those of you in Northern California, that's literally a stone's throw from the city of Long Beach. And I note that, and I'll get into why I'm going to mention it in just a moment, but I think it was yet another example of something that we do extraordinarily well in California. I think as Nikki has taken over the advocacy committee for the PGA of America, she's recognizing with each passing day the difference between the way in which the allied associations across the board operate in California and the way they may operate in some of the other parts of the country. The key is we really do collaborate. That was a very successful day with over 100 attendees. There were panels, architects, superintendents, agronomists, MCOs, municipalities, golf professionals. It was a very good PGA panel as well. Speaking of, Junko Harkins was part of that. Jim Richardson, a former president of the PGA of America, and now at Riviera Country Club, was part of it. I had the pleasure, because that's just my nature, to have not been on a panel, but have been the moderator of the opening panel, which was a panel about the existential challenges faced by the game of golf right now in California. Our legislative agendas and strategies, some of those are reactive, and to the degree to which they're proactive, it's sort of a day by day or year by year way of coping with those things which really present some longer term challenges. And yes, that was the first panel up because we wanted to sort of set the stage with all the problems that face the game of golf in California. And then the rest of the day, hear from a lot of leaders in the industry as to what they're doing to help solve the problems, and if not solve them, mitigate them. So I'm just going to go over them because one of them is always lurks a little bit more when Mother Nature is not kind to us in the form of precipitation, and lurks a little bit less like now when we're coming off a couple of wet years and our reservoirs are full and the snowpack was pretty ample again in the Sierra Nevada, and the runoff, while it's not what it used to be, was pretty good. But that doesn't mean that at any time, we know, just go back 3 years ago to 2022, we know that we can be facing those 35 and 40 and 45% cutbacks anytime. Those reservoirs will empty out pretty quickly when things get dry. And it's one of the reasons that if there's a stance or a position that the California golf industry takes, it's always the following: that conservation is an important tool in the resiliency toolbox, not just of golf, but of all the industries in California. But it cannot be the only tool or by 2050, California will not remain the fourth largest economy, and golf will not remain at 960 or 70 golf courses. It will shrink, along with a lot of other sectors. So we need to do those other things. We need to build out the 21st century infrastructure for water supply, conveyance, and capture, and so forth. And a lot of those things are harvesting local supplies, such as stormwater capture, more and more recycling, particularly for potable reuse, not just non-potable reuse, although that poses some challenges for the golf industry, and various other things, and even down to the most expensive alternative, which does make some sense in a few places and very little sense in others, and that would be desalination. That's going to raise the costs of doing business in California, and currently that's one of the existential challenges that golf faces. It faces having to invest in those infrastructures, if for no other reason than to mitigate the effects of 7 to 9% increases in the costs of potable water year after year after year after year, which are out of proportion to any measure of the consumer price index, and certainly out of proportion to our customers, our golfers' ability to absorb those costs. After all, golf uses discretionary income. You don't have to play golf. It's something you can elect to do or not to do. So, and maybe the greatest challenge is the one is less obvious to us, in that I read these things, so I'm aware of the panic that's setting in as we approach the end of 2026, and and the 7 states in the Colorado Basin have to come to a new set of arrangements on how to divvy up a Colorado Basin water structure that is allocated originally 103 years ago at 17 million acre feet per year, and now may only be yielding about 10 million acre feet per year. And then when you look at, unlike the Sierra snowpack, this year was a 95% snowfall in the Rockies, but it only produced 45% runoff. And that frightened a lot of people. When we have maybe a year in which there's only a 45% snowpack, what does that mean in terms of that runoff? So and that includes Northern California, by the way. It may think it's exempt, but for those listening from San Francisco, you reside in the only major California city that's 100% reliant upon imported supplies. And keeping in mind, and you're not alone in that. So facing that, we're all going to be looking at lower allocations. That's just a must in California, which is going to affect agriculture more than it's going to affect urban use. But even in places like the Coachella Valley, which has had a long term where the golf industry's cooperated with the water retailers and wholesalers to reduce its reliance upon pumping from the aquifer in exchange for raw water off the Colorado River, which when we went down this road was plentiful, is already being voluntarily cut back. But the aquifer was in such good shape that the initial cutbacks are really water that we're not using, but that cannot go on indefinitely. So even in a place like that, which thinks it's a little bit exempt from some of these issues, it's not going to be. And of course, those places in Ventura County and Los Angeles that are just trying to gain access to some of that Colorado River water, it becomes even that much more acute. And the degree to which that water is less, it puts more pressure on the State Water Project, which puts pressure on the Sacramento Delta, which then brings in all those political considerations and some of the north-south battles, which do affect us in the golf industry. I represent the California Alliance for Golf, not the Southern California or the Northern California Alliance, and often I have to weigh all those things into consideration as to coming to a position. So that's clearly always going to be one of golf's existential challenges, along with the cost of doing business. And the final one I'll discuss, and I've discussed this before, it's all about the land. So just to give you an idea of what the problem is longer term, I mean, those of you who read all those reports that are put out by the Alliance and by a lot of your constituent organizations will read about whether it's a golf course in Davis or a golf course in Santa Barbara County that long was successful, but now is rezoned for something else, and that something else is much more lucrative, and you can see that it's going to disappear to housing. Keep in mind that the largest golf market, certainly in this state, the largest city in this state, Los Angeles, 60 years ago was dotted with daily fee golf courses. When the population was barely more than half it is today, and the percentage of that population that played golf was even less than the percentage that plays today. And yet today, there are no daily fee golf courses remaining in the city of Los Angeles. They've all gone the way of hotels, housing complexes, business complexes, commercial complexes, and all the sorts of things which are considerably higher and better economic uses of land that continues to increase in value. So when something that I did discuss on the last webinar or chat, whatever we call these things, Oak Valley in Orange County, it's really a harbinger of those things, what happened to Los Angeles, which happened for most of us before we got into the golf industry. So we're generally used to our largest city only having private clubs and municipal golf courses. And that may explain to you why we worked so doggedly hard to defeat the 2 runs of the Public Golf Endangerment Acts, because we lose those, we lose our developmental facilities, and ultimately we lose the pipelines to the private clubs, because the private clubs, far more often than we know, contain members that were not to the country club born. They were initially got introduced to the game at a municipal facility, and even the municipal facilities, when it comes to public policy, even the private clubs have to recognize that, but for a certain provision of the California Constitution, which establishes a property tax valuation, a methodology that it practically has them as open space. And there are people who are very irritated by that and are working, as I'm speaking to you, to change that in California to not to a highest and best use, but to a higher and better use. And so it gets to the point where certain clubs may go the way because literally the property tax bill, in conjunction with the water bill, in conjunction with the construction costs, with the environmental accommodation costs, and increasing and all the labor costs, may just simply give up the ghost and sell out. They can do that. So those are really the challenges longer term, or as I like to sort of summarize it, we're very proud, we should be proud of all the, whether you heard from Mike, whether it's the amateur associations or the PGA sections or others, that we've done so much to grow the game and so much with developmental programs and junior programs and adaptive programs, and that's great. But we have to have somewhere to operate those programs. It's very difficult to grow the game if we lose the places to grow it. And the places that are most in jeopardy are the developmental facilities. It's not the Torrey Pines, and it's not the San Diego Country Clubs. I don't think the membership there has any interest in selling their property for another use. But those are the tensions that we face longer term, and that rise to the level of existential challenges. Having said all that, I think we do remarkably well on the political front. We do remarkably well on the legislative, and I think even on the regulatory front here in California. And the irony is we do better in this state than a lot of our counterparts do in other states, even though they look upon us in horror as some kind of place where it's impossible to do these businesses. And I would argue it's because long ago we got into the advocacy game and into the advocacy space. Did we do that because we were brilliant, more prescient, more wise than the others? I don't know, maybe just because we were under more threat. Do we collaborate better because we're just more collaborative human beings, or because we recognize that if we don't hang together, as Ben Franklin said one time to his fellow revolutionaries, will certainly hang separately, and he meant literally. In our case, the literal hanging would be to go out of business. So I'd simply say, and maybe my concluding remark, and maybe the gist of all this coming together, we have a lot of challenges. And for that reason, the compelling need of advocacy goes up and up and up, because they can either be met proactively through dabbling in public policy and politics, or reactively in the sense that we've seen a lot of legislation in recent years that were aimed right at, were daggers really at the heart of the golf industry. So with that, I would have to congratulate both PGA sections here in the state are very much so. And again, I want to advertise here, for those who don't know, Nikki is the chair of the PGA of America's Advocacy Committee. And I think President Don Ray made her the chair because, I'm not going to say exactly the way he did. He said something that begins with an S, she gets S done. And so with that, we're going to continue to go forward. We're going to continue to sort of fight these fights. I hope we do well. And in my opinion, even though I've been at the center of it, I think we've done better most of the time than I thought we could do going into it, which means that maybe my way of looking at the world, that always approaching it, what's the worst case scenario from the beginning, we almost always do better. So with that, with that rapid fire response, because I had to deliver it rapidly because Mike Sweeney didn't leave me a lot of time. And again, I mentioned if he had left, but however, if he had left me some more time, I would have gone into greater detail as to why our first meeting in 2002, 23 years ago, is still emblazoned in my memory banks and so forth. But not today, Mike. Congratulations. You didn't leave me enough time to do that. With that, let me thank the sections again and for having me on, and thank all the professionals who really support the efforts of the California Alliance for Golf.
That's great.
Thanks, Craig. Well, great as always, and right on time. So we appreciate that. Great day today. Such good information on both parts. So we appreciate both you, Craig and Mike, for being here with us. And just a couple housekeeping items before we leave. If you were on the phone, please give your section a call or an email just to let us know that you were on the call so we can report your PDRs. And then next month, save the date, we have our next California Nevada chat on August 8th. So it's only a few weeks away coming up here, but we're going to have Derek Sprague, the CEO of PGA of America, on the chat to give some updates in the PGA world, as well as a Ryder Cup preview. So that should be pretty fun and interesting. So definitely don't miss that. And I think that's it for me. Nikki, you have anything else before we close?
I'm good. Thanks everybody for being on. Have a great weekend and a great rest of your July, and we'll see you August 8th. Thank you.